Perfect Plex Radio. We about to go live on him. Mike Knoxxx. That's with 3 X's cause he's hardcore. Are y'all ready? I go by the name Fred Nux. We about to give y'all something special. You ready?
Sorry, Sports Director Glenwood Thomas. I had to interrupt the ads right now because, frankly, I got to do this the way only I know how to do it. Now, I've introduced a lot of people from them to her to her. But this is an honor of mine, and I want to make sure I get this completely done the right way. So do me a favor here in the barbershop. Y'all know how we do. Stand on your feet. Oh, you didn't know? For the one, I'm going to say it because I don't care what you say, the only Road Dogg Jesse. Hey! What's going on, Road Dogg? How you doing, my friend?
Hey, what's going on with you, man? I can't follow that. I can tell you that much.
Listen, I've been practicing that for years, just so you know. For this moment.
I tell you what, you got it down pat.
I'm trying. That's all I can say. So I'm trying. How you doing, man? I haven't spoken to you in a while since 10 years gone. Never forgotten the Yokozuna tour.
Yeah. Well, I've never forgotten that night either. To say the truth, I was ashamed of some of my company's behavior, but we had a good time anyway. It was for a good cause. Yeah, I'm doing good, man. I'm sitting up here in my office in the WWE headquarters in Stamford. Head over tomorrow to Brooklyn for 4 days in the Barclays. WWE's running wild all over in NYC. So we got NXT, we got SummerSlam, we got Raw, we got Smackdown Live. WWE's just doing the dang thing, and I'm just trying to keep up with them.
Well, what else is new? The WWE's always doing the dang thing. Right?
Yeah, they are, and there ain't no off season, that's for sure. I can't wait just to get home and kiss my grandbabies.
I hear that, and I'm glad right there. I'm gonna start right where you went. You said there's no off season because in the wrestling community, they're always saying, well, after SummerSlam, that's like the off season for the WWE because NFL's coming back. I'm saying, what are you guys talking about? There's no off season. Survivor Series has to come in a couple more months after that, right? So
Yeah. We've been in meetings talking about all of them, and when you look at that schedule, it may be off season for the fan, but it ain't off season for the boys. That's for dang sure.
Yeah. Well, there can't be no days off. So right now, we know you are one of the members of the Generation X. Once the original connection went on, Sean, got injured and left, and then you guys came and joined the Generation X, and a lot of people's minds making it even a bigger climactic group than the original. To each their own, tomato. How did you feel stepping into those shoes? And I know we've seen interviews here and there, but I'll have to ask guys myself up close. I'm talking to them myself how they felt. How did it feel coming into that situation, joining the Generation X back then after Sean had departed?
Well, and it was really crazy because the New Age Outlaws had just formed and kind of started getting on the scene a little bit, and so
right.
Hunter and Sean kind of confronted us and said, "Hey, what do you guys think about being a part of it?" We tried to play it cool, and once we walked around the corner and out of sight, we jumped for joy because we thought, "Dang, that's an opportunity to be on TV and to be on TV in a positive way." So, we were friends with those guys already. I had known Hunter. We worked together for WCW, and they'd come 93, I think it was, 94 maybe. And so we've known each other for a long time, and Sean had known my family. And so we got along great, and it just seemed to click, man. Me and Hunter and China, to an extent as well, have really good comedic timing. And not to take anything away from X-Pac and Billy and Sean,
right.
But Hunter and myself seem to work really well together. As far as comedic timing and just kind of producing stuff backstage ourselves. Back then, we had writers and stuff, but they kind of wrote you into some scenarios. You kind of had to act your way out of them. So that's what we did, and we were really good at it. And fast forward like 20 years, I guess 20 and change, and Hunter called me back, and said, "Hey, we used to be really good at that. You want to try to do it again?" And so that's how I got my gig, my present gig now. back with him. It's good to be back together with him, man, because we do sometimes together. We get together and we make creative magic.
Well, I agree with that as far as the magic is concerned. And you say 20 years ago, it makes me feel old.
Yeah, well, it makes me feel old too.
It's like, man, where has time gone in that time? Now, what do you think is some of the differences between, your generation and today's current generation that maybe some of the current wrestling fans are older? I like to call them crackhead wrestling fans. Like they want what they had and they can't get it go. It's like the base heads, let it go.
Yeah,
what do you think one of the biggest things?
They're chasing that original high, and
Right,
Lord knows I know exactly where they're coming from. But a big difference that I see is not only cultural changes and on a whole, but people are just different. It's just different nowadays, and of course we all long for yesteryear, and we all want what was when we were younger. It was all awesome, and now we're a little older and we're a little jaded, and now we have social media, and now we are a little smarter when it comes to the industry, and now we all know everything about it, and we have that platform to go on there and talk about it. And so, look, I think people look back at yesteryear in their lives and they think, oh man, it was so good then. I think you could argue that it was kind of crazy then. I watched some of the Monday Night Raw episodes from back then, and man, it was just crazy, chaotic television. There was never any endings to the matches. There was never clean finishes. There was always run-ins and promos in every segment, and like it was crazy and chaotic. When I watch it now, like at the time, I thought it was awesome, but now, now I'm a little different dude. And again, I do think it's it's like the Talking Dead, where you get to watch the show, but then you go on after it and kind of get to critique the show and talk about it, and it kind of takes the fun out of it, in my opinion.
Okay, you know what? I
also
think
too. You talked about how things grow. I also think the sport itself, the industry itself, has evolved, and I didn't mean the in-ring action. I mean, it's a little bit faster paced. It's a little bit more spotty, if I can use an inside term. So I think the executing the matches themselves has changed a little, and I think that's because the culture in the wrestling industry fan base has changed a little more. I want to see some more athleticism, but the thing is they would still buy that slow-paced, emotional physicality if they got it. They just don't get it a whole lot anymore. And I'm talking about old school stuff like Taker and Shawn and Taker and Hunter in them Hell in a Cell matches. And you know what I mean? It's not a whole bunch of spots, but it's emotional, and it kind of gets you sitting on the edge of your seat.
Now, right there, I want to touch on that one little part right there. You're saying as far as the differences and things, and we talk about the wrestling fans. What do you think's probably missing from that? Because everybody wants the yesteryear. Why do you think maybe the company or is maybe too afraid to maybe push that envelope a little bit? Because I think, and it's just my opinion, I'm 42 years old. I've been watching wrestling for 35 years. You know what I mean? And like you said, everything in the Attitude Era wasn't great. You know what I mean? You had great moments, and I think that's what stands out in people's minds. But I believe a lot of product today is, better in a sense as far as storyline is concerned as it was then. Do you think that stories are, maybe better today and fans given the time would let them unfold? I always say hashtag wrestling is storyline. Do you think fans maybe should just let the stories unfold before they, go to social media complaining so quickly?
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, I would say that because I get the blunt end of their punishment a lot of times on there. but with the hashtag Fire Road Dogg that trended a couple times, and it's immediately when their show ends in a way that they don't like it, or when a show you have that platform to go to and voice your opinion and voice your displeasure, and that's cool. I mean, I get that. I want to yell at bark at the moon when I don't get my way either. I totally understand it. But yeah, I think they should be a little more patient. And look, if I'm a wrestling fan, man, I want to watch wrestling, and I'm going to watch wrestling. And I'm waiting last night on a meeting, and I was watching Impact Wrestling because I'm a wrestling fan, and I'm not critiquing what they're doing or talking about. I got friends down there, and I got, but I love wrestling, so I watch wrestling. And if you're going to watch wrestling, I I don't know, man. Don't take the fun out of it for yourself. Just watch and enjoy. I mean, I don't know. It's just a difference of opinions, and I'm also almost 50 years old. You know what I mean? So I've lived through some crazy times, and I'm a little more calm and cool nowadays than I used to be. So I get it. They're passionate, man. They love their wrestling, and they want to get their wrestling their way. And we don't always give it to them their way. Look, we're a publicly traded company, and it's rated G, and that's how it is, and that's better for business. Whether you want to, whether they believe that or not, or whether they want to believe it or not, it's just how it is. And I'm glad that I work for a company now that's, their mantra is we put smiles on people's faces worldwide, and that's the idea, man. When you see the kids wearing a Cena shirt and screaming Cena, that's not what the guy who's wearing the Kevin Owens shirt is thinking about, but that's what the business side of what we do is thinking about, and that's the future. You know what I mean? So it's a company that I can be proud to be a part of. When I look back on being a part of D-Generation X, I kind of think, man, I was a part of a whole culture that told people to suck it and stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's not cool. I don't want my grandbaby growing up seeing her pawpaw doing that. So I can be proud of the product we put out now, where I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, and I know people want it a little edgier and a little more hardcore, but that's not what we're going to do, because we're now a publicly traded company with sponsors and corporate social responsibility to those sponsors.
Well, like you just said, when we went from the generation of suck it to now kids today are dabbing all over the place. And if you ask a grandmother, you'd rather have them dab than walk up to some little girl and say those words. I myself, having children, understand that now that I'm older than I was then. Do you think with the generation we have, the younger guys that are there now, watching what you guys brought before them, do you think they're having a hard time maybe finding their place with the current ratings that we have and the storylines they're trying to tell? Because I always, like I said, wrestling is storyline. I give everybody a chance for months and months and months to come before I, say my beliefs or my disbeliefs. Do you think maybe the younger crop is having a harder time finding that place? And as Vince would say back in the day, or going for the brass ring or reaching for the brass ring?
Yeah, I mean, I totally think they are having a difficult time. And look, the reason being is you look back at that, just like me and you are talking right now, they were fans then. Now they're in the industry and they're working, and they're like, wait, I can't say, I can't say cuss words on here. Well, I saw The Rock do it. I saw the Road Dogg do it. Can I not say, what I want to? Can I not do this? Can I not do that? And yeah, that's the easy way to get a pop. And we did it the easy way to get a pop, but even that burns itself out, because then you got to go further to get that reaction. Then you got to pull your daggum pants down to get that reaction. So it's hard because they saw us do that, and now they simply cannot do that. And so we haven't found that other John Cena yet, that other guy, that other Rock yet, that other Stone Cold Steve Austin yet. And believe you me, we're looking, and we got guys that have the potential to be that person. And so it's a fine line. We have to allow them to be themselves and to go out on a limb, but all while kind of towing the company line and not going too far. You know what I mean? So it's a difficult situation, but I also feel like wrestling's never been as good as it is right now. And I'm talking about worldwide with New Japan and Ring of Honor and the Lucha Underground and Impact and WWE, and it's just holy mackerel. Wrestling is on fire right now, whether it's indie wrestling or some of those promotions I mentioned, or the global conglomerate, the WWE. Wrestling it's good to be a fan right now.
I agree, and I'm glad you let, to me, a cat out the bag that people say, well, he won't be able to say that he watches TNA, or they can't say, they watching New Japan Pro Wrestling. Like, you're a wrestler, you was a wrestling fan before you became a wrestler. I would assume that anyway, to make yourself get into the business. So I'm glad you pointed that out. Like, I watch the product, A, because I have friends, and A, because I love wrestling in itself right there. So what do you think of, you name guys like The Rock, like John Cena, some of the big timers, the all-time greats in the business that you've had a chance to work with and whatnot. Do you like the fact when the part-timers come back? I have a motto where they come back to help the younger guys get over. Do you believe in that motto? And B, do you like the way that the part-timers come in here and go? Because fans are very critical of it. I myself say it's for the business. I heard Jericho podcast say having him and Owens at WrestleMania would have been great for fans, but for the business, you got Goldberg and Lesnar. That was a bigger global market. Would you agree with those statements as well?
Yeah. I totally agree with those statements. And I agree, like you said, it would have been great for the fans. Now, it would have been great for what I would like to call the very passionate or the hardcore fans. You can definitely not compare Jericho and Owens to Lesnar and Goldberg, you know what I mean, on a global scale from a promotional standpoint. However, Chris Jericho is a huge star and is always welcome back here because he does come back with the idea and the mentality of let's help the current boys and the current business, and it's not all about him. And I think for the most part, everybody that comes back, the part-timers, as you called them, comes back and kind of has that mentality. We've had a few that come back and it's still about them, and it's not really thinking about us or the future. And I don't hate that because it still serves a purpose. It still gets that huge promotion.
Bigger paycheck for our.
Yeah, for the industry. So yeah, no, that and that's the difference between like trying to sell to a mass audience and trying to please the really passionate hardcore fans is when you're surrounded by all your buddies and you're all like-minded, that's the world to you. But if you got to realize people on Twitter, 0.5% of our viewers weekly react to our programming on Twitter. So less than 1% react on Twitter to our programming, and that's what you have to understand. If something trends on Twitter and there's 1,000 tweets with this hashtag, there's 2.5 million people watching on TV. So that 1,000 tweets, whether it be positive or negative, is kind of just a drop in the bucket. It's not a true litmus test of what people are thinking. It's just what those really passionate fans are thinking. So we got to balance all that out either, because you dang sure don't want to make them angry. You want to please them. They're the ones that are devoted to you the most, so you want to please them, and we try, but it seems like it's getting harder and harder to do.
It's getting harder and harder to do because it's everybody, I like to call them, and you've heard the term internet tough guys. You know what I mean? Like they watch something. My motto has always been, of course, I don't think you can say this, why watch something that you claim verbally on social media that you hate so much? They don't hate it. They just want what they want, chasing that high, as we talked about there. Now, being in the company, like you said, you come from D-Generation X, you're in the company now. How has your personal walk been with your faith working through the wrestling business? Has that been difficult for you?
You know what? It hadn't. And before I got clean and sober, and before I started living in a way kind of every day that would be pleasing to the Lord, and I don't mean to take us down a religious road here, but that's you asked me about my personal
Glory
walk.
Be to God. Amen.
Yeah. So I got sober and I started living. Now, prior to my sobriety date, I thought, how in the world could you be in the wrestling business and not be on dope? But since I've gotten clean and sober and again started living in a way that I thought was pleasing to Him, it's very easy, man. You just have to stay focused and stay, take the next step and not project too much fear onto the future and not kind of regret too much about your past. Just live in the day, and I'm very thankful for all the gifts I've been given, man. Keep it in perspective because I stay in nice hotels that the company pays for me. They paid for me to go to rehab and get clean and sober. They pay for this rental car I'm driving and the car that's going to pick me up and take me to Brooklyn tomorrow. They take care of me, and they literally gave me a second chance at life and a second chance to do what I love to do, and I do it for free. Just don't tell nobody. So when I toe their company line on social media and verbally in the streets or whatever, I get a lot of kickback from that. Man, if somebody pulled you out of a burning house and set you back up on your feet, it feels like you'd stand up for that person too. So man, my personal walk's never been better in my life. And again, just thankful I get to do what I love to do and get paid for it.
I know that's right. Well, we all would love to do that, right? That's what we're all trying to strive for. So now I know our time with you is short here, so I'm going to try to bring this to the current product this weekend as we started off the show is SummerSlam. We got going out in Brooklyn, 4 big days. To me, and what the world knows, the second biggest pay-per-view of the year next to WrestleMania. I'm looking at this card like, this card is just as big as WrestleMania to me. You know what I mean? As far as some of the matches are going. And I like where Raw and I like where SmackDown has been the last 60 days going into this. People, you guys got the hashtag Fire Road Dogg things that were going out there. When you hear those kind of things leading into SummerSlam, and like I just said, these last 2 months being really, really good, and people are criticizing things in the company, especially what happened on Tuesday night with Baron Corbin losing his Money in the Bank briefcase. Do you think that he can recover from that and come back? Because people are saying that he's already done. I'm like, listen, he's a young guy. That doesn't mean the company gives up on somebody because they lose the Money in the Bank. I'm actually happy, and I'm a Corbin guy. I mean that true and true. I think Baron Corbin's a really good talent. I like the fact that somebody lost the Money in the Bank. It's not a guaranteed championship. What would you say to that?
Well, I would say exactly the same thing you just said. And on top of that, they did it on live television. You didn't have to pay. And by the way, I'll bring up that $9.99. Holy mackerels. Pay-per-views used to be $60 a pop. Now you get them for $9.99 a month. And so this live, have it on live TV. Now SmackDown Live is unpredictable. Now things will happen. Now you got to tune in. Now we're getting closer to the Attitude Era than we ever were before. So in my mind, when people say stuff like that, it's like they think Baron Corbin's done. For the love of Pete, Baron Corbin's just beginning, and so is SmackDown Live. He is in a great place with the company. If the dirt sheets didn't have something to speculate about, they wouldn't have no news at all. So I get them trying to find answers for all this stuff, but sometimes they're just creative decisions that are made. I think Baron Corbin has got a huge future here with the WWE, but especially in the short term with SmackDown Live. And as far as SummerSlam goes, man, what a packed card. Some would argue that it's too much wrestling for one night, but with a co-branded pay-per-view with SmackDown Live and Raw on there, man, you got to button up some stories, and you got a lot of matches in which to do so. So 2-hour kickoff. 4-hour pay-per-view. That's following NXT TakeOver where Bobby Roode faces Drew McIntyre for that NXT title.
Still the chosen one.
And then you got Raw and SmackDown Live. So man, WWE's on fire. And if that's not your cup of tea, like I said earlier, man, there's a lot going on in the world of professional wrestling / sports entertainment today. So take your pick and don't pick it apart so much. Just have fun watching. And if you don't have fun watching, watch something else.
Well, I'm going to ask you these last 2 questions. I'm going to let you go, and thank you so much again for joining us. I'd like to call you a friend of mine, and we speak open and candidly, and I appreciate that. I'm a connoisseur for tag team wrestling. Right now, you got the New Day and the Usos going at it. A lot of fans, again, are crying because they're on the kickoff show. And I tell people it's the kickoff show. That doesn't mean that they're off the card. They have to kick off the show. You want to kick it off with a good thing. You know what I mean?
That's the pace card.
That's the pace card.
Mike.
NASCAR fans, get it up now, okay? Yeah. What do you see tag team wrestling at today? Because a lot of fans are, again, critical of that as well. And I think it's all about mix and matching. And you look at guys like on the Raw side, the Cesaros and Sheamus coming together. Fans didn't like that. Now they love it. Again, waiting till something unfolds before you complain. Do you like where tag team wrestling is right now, being the tag team specialist yourself?
I am a tag team guy. I love tag team wrestling. I love looking at it. And I also love where the divisions on both sides of the roster are at right now. Look, we got tag teams right now that don't even wrestle. The Breezango and the Ascension hadn't wrestled in months, but they're on TV every week in an entertaining fashion. The New Day just came to SmackDown Live. They're the SmackDown Live Tag Team Champions. The Usos are on fire in a way that they have never been before. And man, they're probably my favorite team. The Sheamuses and Cesaros of the world, man, I knew that was going to be a bruising team from the get-go, and I love watching them work. And now Ambrose and Rollins back together, that match is going to be off the charts. I love the state of tag team wrestling, and I'm excited where the future will take us because I happen to know for a fact there's going to be some mixes and some matches coming up soon that are going to be really entertaining for the people.
Well, I love that. I love those answers. I love that little that you just gave us right there, for a fact. And Road Dogg, there could be one thing right now you could change about your career. Anything, whether it was in the WWE, outside the WWE, I know your time in TNA. What would that one thing be if you could change it?
Well, I mean, of course, it would. It's a little deeper answer, but it would be. I wish I hadn't fallen prey to drug addiction because going back, I see it was I regret a lot of the things I did. I don't dwell on them because that'll drive me to drinking again, but I regret them, and I try to learn from them. But, man, I cheated myself. And in turn, I cheated the fans out of Road Dogg having a really long and illustrious career because I got hooked on drugs. And so I'll take this opportunity right now as the platform you've given me, and I appreciate that, to say, man, if you haven't started taking drugs and you're a young athlete, don't start taking drugs. And if you have and you're a young athlete, seek help. Reach out and call somebody and ask for some help, because it's a dirty, dirty, ugly roller coaster ride, and you just can't get off by yourself. So asking for help is a strength, not a weakness. And just, man, don't do drugs. I ain't no Nancy Reagan, but I'm just telling you, don't do drugs.
It really is that simple. Next weekend, biggest, I hate to say this word, but they're using it, combat sporting event of all time. I just want to say fight. Conor McGregor, the notorious one, takes on Floyd Money Mayweather. You got a winner in this fight?
Man, I got to go with Mayweather. It's a boxing.
Does Conor have a chance?
I don't think he has a chance. I mean, I really don't. If he could kick Mayweather in the head, I think he'd take him. But he ain't allowed to do that in this game. This is a boxing match, and I got to go with Mayweather. Either way, I'm gonna pay my money to see it.
I know that's right. SummerSlam this Sunday night. Special start time, 7:00 p.m. Kickoff show starts at 5 o'clock. I know Madden football's out. It can wait. I know that Game of Thrones comes on Sunday. Guess what, y'all? It leaked. I think they leaked it on purpose because they knew SummerSlam was on Sunday. Okay, if 50 Cent can leak Power, HBO can leak Game of Thrones. Make sure you guys check it out right here, right now. Friend of the program, my friend, now y'all's, Road Dogg, Jesse James. Thank you so much for coming on the program, Road Dogg. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, man, and thank you for plugging the pay-per-view like you did, and just thanks for giving me the platform to talk to you guys. I really appreciate it.
No problem, guys. Y'all hold tight. You hold tight for me too, y'all. Stand on your feet, y'all. The one. I'm going to say it again, y'all. The only. Oh, you didn't know? Your butt better call somebody. Road Dogg, Jesse James. We'll be right back, y'all. Fox Sports Radio 1340 WHAP, hold on, and Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM. I told you we moving up like the Jeffersons, y'all. We'll be right back.
Yeah. Perfect Plex Radio. We about to go live on him. Mike Knoxxx. That's with 3 X's because he's hardcore.